everyone, welcome to Mom Squad. I'm Maureen Kyle, and this is a show where we tackle everything that comes along with parenting. With parents come grandparents. I hear from many of you who say you're watching because you are now grandparents and so much has changed. So in this episode, we are going to talk about the new boundaries that come up within families when a new baby is born. First, I got a chance to talk to my good friend Al ROKER about his daughter being pregnant and his excitement over becoming a grandpa for the first time. So Al, you're going to be Pop. How does that feel?
You know, it's still kind of weird. It doesn't roll off the tongue. I mean, I'm not used to being thinking about being a granddad, but my oldest Courtney and her husband Wes are expecting in late July, and you know, I'm excited. I'm nervous. You know, this is uncharted territory for me.
Yeah, and uncharted territory for her too. So have you been giving her advice? Are you telling her no advice at all? No advice,
other than she likes to think that she's in control of things, and letting her know that that's about to end. Yeah. You know, that chaos is king or queen, and and you're going to have to roll with it.
If you were to give her one piece of advice, aside from the chaos is queen, what would it be? Like, what kind of knowledge would you want to pass on as father to daughter?
That it's the most frightening thing you're ever going to do, but it's the most wonderful thing you're ever going to do, and that this is always going to be your kid. Yeah. You know, no matter how old, no matter what they do, it's always your baby. Yeah. You know? Although I always remember my mother had this thing whenever we would do something, and she goes, "One day yours are going to do to you what you've done to me." I thought, well, that's sweet. Yeah. I think. So I don't know if Courtney, she was a great kid. So luckily, hopefully, she's going to have a great little girl.
And what kind of pop do you think you're going to be? Are you going to be the spoiling kind?
Oh, absolutely, the spoiling, fun kind. I'm going to be the best kind of papa. I mean, grandchildren are parents' revenge. It's like, hey, guess what? I'm going to fill this child full of every snack food, junk food I want. I'm going to give them whatever toy they want. And let them do whatever they want, and then I'm going to give them back to you. Yeah. Good luck. It's like pulling the pin and throwing a grenade in. Yeah. Woo-hoo!
You said uncharted territory, and I'm sure you have a lot of friends who are going to you saying, "Oh, it's so great. You do get to sugar them up and then give them back." Has anyone given you advice about what to do as a grandparent?
No, not really. And I'm going to just go on how I saw my parents as grandparents. They were terrific grandparents. I mean, and they were a great tag team in that my father really was the mushball and would give them everything. My mother was more the disciplinarian, and also I remember Deborah, my wife, being upset and telling me, "You've got to talk to your mother. She's not letting the kids win at checkers or anything." And Isabel's thing was, "No, that's not how life is. Yeah, they've got to learn that they're going to have to lose, and if they want to win, they got to be good." Yeah. And so, they were literally the good cop and bad cop of grandparents.
That's perfect balance. So the moment comes, you get that call, baby's here. When are you going to rush to the hospital to see her?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, I want to. We want to be there. Yeah. So I've already cleared out the calendar and ready to go.
So what do you think it's going to be like to see that little face?
I can't even imagine. I mean, I know what it was like seeing her little face. Courtney was adopted, and picking her up, she was 4 months old when we got her. Aww. And looking forward to the same thing. Yeah. It's just one more time.
Yeah. Well, congrats.
Thank you.
Thanks for sharing a little pop with us. So what kind of grandparent are you going to be? That's a question you heard me ask Al. And it's something we wonder when it comes to picturing our own parents becoming grandparents. Or maybe this time around it's you gaining that title. That relationship is a new one to navigate. What kind of involvement will grandparents have? Will they be allowed to pop over whenever they want? Will they be babysitting? We talked to relationship coach Kathy Dawson about how to approach those boundaries, expectations, and sticky situations. Kathy, thank you for being here and chatting about grandparent boundaries with us. And you just became a grandmother.
Yes,
how does it feel?
I love it. Actually, Gus, our grandson, is 16 months old.
Oh,
so,
wow.
Yeah, we just came back from seeing him, so.
So he's born, and now you have this new role and a whole new relationship and a whole new dynamic with your child. Did you think about boundaries? How did you approach that? Like, did you think about it beforehand, or when it happens, all of a sudden you start to realize there's new dimensions to this relationship?
That's a good word, dimensions, the levels. I thought about it, my husband and I both thought about it way ahead of time, and we come from the school of, hey, now it's your time to raise your kids, and we raised you, and you're going to figure out how to do it. And you certainly could ask us for advice, but we're not going to give you any unless you ask it. Yeah. And whatever you're comfortable with, we're going to follow, right? I mean, who are we to tell you how to do it? I mean, my parents didn't tell me how to do it. We had to find our own way. Yeah. Unless an adult child says, oh my gosh, how do you do this? Then of course we'll say, in our experience, this is what we did. But if they aren't asking, we're not telling. That's how it goes.
I mean, as a relationship coach, I'm sure you had more knowledge than most grandparents have going into it, but were you surprised by any situations? Was there ever a situation that presented itself that you thought, oh, I didn't think about discussing that, or?
Yes, there was.
Yeah.
So we went to visit them the very first time, and Gus was just a little baby, and I had, this is kind of a long story, I had fallen 5 years before and broken both of my wrists and my kneecap in front of our son and daughter-in-law, so it was traumatic for them. Yeah. So as I was holding Gus, our son said, you know, Mom, we want you to sit whenever you hold Gus. I'm like, I didn't say anything. I went, oh, okay. And I sat down and I said, can you tell me the reason? He said, well, we're a little afraid you're going to fall.
Oh, wow.
So first-time parents, seeing a traumatic experience with the grandparent, I totally get it. But honestly, in the moment, I thought I was going to cry. I mean, it just felt like, oh my gosh.
So did you tell them? Did you say anything about feelings or anything?
You know, I didn't. I thought, honor them, honor their feelings, honor their feelings. It was one of the hardest things I had to do. Yeah. But the next day, oh, here, Mom, you want to take Gus over? I'm like, wait, you're going to let me walk with Gus? He goes, yeah. And I thought, am I losing it? Yeah. I think what happened was, because I didn't push the envelope and I honored what they said, they had time to think about what they said, and I think they realized that maybe they were being a little tight with everything. And now it's fine. Yeah. But it was hard. Yeah. What do you think are, in case somebody hasn't had those conversations, or they're about to have a baby and they haven't even thought about setting those boundaries, what do you think are the first boundaries that they should set? What are the first conversations that you should have as child, parent, meaning, you know, parent, grandparent? Right, and this is hard because it's brand new for everybody. If it's the first grandchild, you know, the parents have to think about, what's our comfort zone? Do we want our parents to watch an infant, okay? Do we want our parents to feed our infant? I mean, you have to almost make a list of questions and go through it so that it doesn't happen, oh, no, don't do that. You know what I mean? That gets kind of like shocking. Yeah. So if you can think ahead of time of things that you would imagine you'd be uncomfortable with, and you can even preface it with saying, listen, Mom and Dad, we're first-time parents, okay? So we're being really careful. We know you raised us and everything. And that helps kind of grease the skids for that conversation. And it's not just the kids, because I remember even my mom saying, well, she never really said it. It's funny, you know, it would come up in conversation of, well, can you believe so-and-so is retiring to watch her grandkids? Not me. You know, so she was setting the boundaries without really having a conversation, but she was letting you know. She was letting me know, like, yes, this is where I draw the line. Good for her. Right. So that you knew ahead of time. If a child hasn't set the boundaries, should the
grandparents.
Oh, absolutely.
Say, this is what I expect and this is what I want, or like, I want a key to your place, or I mean, like, what happens there?
You know, at this age, a lot of us are retired or partly retired, and we have a life, you know what I'm saying? Not that watching our grandchildren isn't part of it, but if you know in your heart you want to balance social activities with your grandchild, yeah, put it out there ASAP, because otherwise your adult child might be thinking, oh, great, you know, we got a built-in babysitter, and that's not always the case.
Yeah, and there, as you've already established, there can be some really hurt feelings because it is grounded in love, and there's an extra emotion. This isn't, you know, hey, can you water my plants when I'm gone, or you know, can you know, help me, you know, shop. This is a new life and somebody you want to bond with. So if there is that, maybe there's that one moment, or there's a couple moments that have built up, and all of a sudden you're finding yourself with hurt feelings and unspoken words. How do you go about saying, hey, you know, this is how I feel? Like, how do you start that conversation? What's the best way?
You can say, listen, there's something I wanna bring up, and I'm feeling a certain way about a situation, you know, and I just need some clarity. Or I would like to clarify. That's one of the most important language that we can use in relationships is, I just need some clarity on something, or so that I'm not misunderstood, I would like to clarify something. And that is your opening to having a difficult conversation.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. I mean, because it's a lot, it's personal. And I think everybody takes those comments personally, or, you know, if they feel like, you know, mom is showing up all the time, or dad's just on my doorstep, why is he doing this to me? Or, you know, why are they not letting me see my grandchild? Or why, I mean, when it's that personal, how do you detach and try and understand?
It's hard, right? It's part of a bloodline. And it is very personal. You can't say, oh, don't take it personally. Well, it is. I mean, so any difficult conversation starts with, I just want to clarify, or I would really like more clarification on your part. That's an invitation to have a talk about something, rather than, why did you do that? Oh, not good. Yeah. The word why's hanging out there, and now people are getting ready to get defensive. Yeah. So you want to think about open rather than closed with a conversation. Yeah.
I mean, I feel like, I mean, there's a whole show that I'm doing here to try and get advice, and parents, grandparents give their adult children advice all the time, solicited or unsolicited. You know, there might be something that I'm doing now that my kids are older, and my parents think, oh, I don't think, you know, I've been through this, you should, you know, is there a way to politely give that advice from a place of knowledge?
Yes. You can look at the person, your child, your adult child, and say, I'm wondering, would you be open to an idea? And they're going to say, well, what do you mean? And you'll say, well, I've just noticed this, and I'm wondering, what do you think about this? But see, you're giving it back to them so they have participation in the idea, rather than just saying, hey, you need to do this, or you should. Get rid of the word should. Yeah. You've heard the expression, you don't want to should on yourself or anybody else. That's no good. Get that out of your vocabulary. I'm wondering if you're open to an idea. So that puts it back to them. And they'll be a little wary and say, oh, I don't know. In other words, it depends on the idea. Yeah. But if they say, no, not really, then you know that's it. Or if they say, well, what is it? You can say, well, again, I'm wondering if you've thought about option A, B, or C. Do you have any options you're thinking about? See what I'm doing here? I'm not lowering the boom and saying this is how it has to be.
Yeah. I mean, the general theme here, wording is everything.
It's everything. Delivery. Yeah. Yes.
Any other key words that we should either be using or staying away from, like the example of should?
Well, there's why. There's
That's should. A stay away from?
That's a stay away. Okay. Right. There's the should. Just any kind of judgment. You know, oh, that's not a good idea. Yeah. Or sarcasm. Or condescension. That, you know, parents, we're great, but sometimes we get, now, honey. You know, these are adult people who have to make their own mistakes. Yeah. and it's hard to watch, but boy, we've been there. So that's one thing I have to pat myself on the back, and my husband is, we're pretty good about not jumping in and giving unsolicited advice.
Yeah. I have to ask too, because I've heard from, I mean, even within my own family, I remember I have an aunt who said, it's different when it's your daughter-in-law than it is with your daughter. Like, you feel that you can, you know, just give your daughter more advice, but you kind of are careful with a daughter-in-law. Do you feel like that's pretty typical, or, you know, because then that's a different relationship to navigate, because you didn't raise, no matter what your relationship is like, you didn't raise that adult child.
That's true. Well, and also your daughter-in-law, she may have a very close relationship with her mother, and that's where she gets a lot of her info. I'm lucky in that my daughter-in-law will ask me questions. Yeah. You know, and I'll be like, oh, okay, you know, like one time she said, how did you do this? You know, back then, fathers weren't home that much, right? When I was raising our kids. Yeah. And I said, I don't know, it's trial and error, I don't, you know. Yeah. But she really genuinely wanted to know. But if your daughter-in-law is not coming to you and asking your experience, to share your experience, then she's telling you, hey, I'm doing it on my own, and that's tough. I think I'd be more open to saying to our daughter, I'm wondering if you're open to an idea. I'm not doing that with my daughter-in-law. Yeah. You bring up a good point. It's a whole different family system. So they have their traditions, and so if she's going to ask, she'll ask, and if not, you got to honor the boundary there.
Yeah. And now that you brought up traditions, I feel like every holiday, no matter what it is, but especially like the holidays, you know, the big ones.
Yes.
There's always, whenever there's a new baby, the kids are little, traditions are changing, and you're splitting between families and this house and that house. What is that conversation, and how do you set that boundary and expectation? Because there are going to be hurt feelings when you only have 24 hours and it's got to get divided up.
Yeah. So you just up ahead of time, you know, not the night before Christmas or whatever the holiday is, just say, listen, this year, we're really wanting to stay at home. You know, we want to have our own holiday, Hanukkah, whatever it is, at home. And I can't imagine, I mean, I'm sure there are parents that say, oh, but we've always had it here, you know? Well, try to think back. I tell parents, think back to when you had little kids and that you wanted to start your own tradition in your own home. That doesn't mean you're not a part of the holiday. I mean, maybe you come the next day, or if you're out of town, you come the next week, or whatever it is, but you got to remember what it was like when you had kids yourself. That's very key. It's not about you anymore.
I know.
You know, I hate to say it. I don't hate to say it, I'm just going to say it. Parents we shift from being in the center to now grandparents were peripheral. It is the way it is, okay? It's supposed to be that way. And if you happen to have a situation where you are involved a lot and you want to be, great. But if you want to be involved a lot and you're not, understand that's the cycle of life. Is that grandparents are participatory and not in the center anymore.
Okay. So it's a little bit of give and take. I mean, overall, it's here's what I want. I mean, can you start the conversation like, hey, we're going to be grandparents. I would love to be this kind of grandparent. I would love to help you in these ways. And if somebody's like, I'm not comfortable, no.
I wouldn't. I would say, I'm a grandparent. How can I help? Is there any way you would like me to help? And if they say, oh, I don't know, maybe every couple of weeks come over, you know, as the dagger is going in your, you could say, okay, I can do that, and do it. And then as you do it, say, I'm wondering if I might be able to maybe come another day in the week. And if they bristle, back off. It's hard. Hey, I'm speaking from experience. Now, our grandchild is in California, so I don't have that proximity thing, like they're right there. But there's a whole nother set of things with when you have a grandchild far away. You know, so it's.
What are those things? Because I'm sure a lot of people have grandchildren that are far away.
Well, it's like, okay, is this child going to know us? You know, so we have FaceTime. which is better than not having anything. But you wonder, are you going to get imprinted in this child? They're so far away. But you got to remember, when they're that little, their attention span is so short. It probably isn't going to be until later where they can say, Grams. That's what he's going to call me. He's going to identify a name with a face. So that I have to be patient for that, right?
Yeah. When you do have that time with your grandchild, whether they're far away and you're getting like that 1 week, or if it's, you know, okay, you're a couple hours, how do you make the most of that so that you are getting that one-on-one bonding time? Like, do you ask to be really one-on-one, or do you?
Good question. I did.
Yeah.
I used to love bath time with our kids. And so I asked Dave, our son, I said, may I give Gus a bath? He goes, sure. Oh my, we had more fun. I was out there, I'd take the washcloth and I'd say, you want a babushka? And I'd put it on his head, and we just we had a great time. So Dave saw it, and he said, all right, you're doing baths. We were out there for a month. We were really lucky. He said, you do bath time every night. So I was his bath time buddy. I mean, but you're right, I did ask for that because there was a little tugging in me saying, that was so fun when you had little kids. And they said yes. I mean, I hope adult children will recognize when their parent has a soft spot for a certain activity, whether it's reading, whether it's playing on a playground. Let your parent have a little special time with your child to build a memory.
I'm glad you shared that about the bath time, because I never even thought about it. And as you were explaining, I'm thinking, my parents love doing XYZ one-on-one with my kids.
What do they love doing?
My mom loves, she's an art teacher, and so she loved drawing. And then my dad he always played with the kids. Like, we won't see him. We walk in the door and he's in the basement with the toys, and he plays pretend with the kids, and they love it. They love it. And so, but we're lucky they're close by.
You are lucky.
But I think every family, and that's why I ask too, my brother is in California as well. And so we have the distance. And so I've heard where they're wishing they had more time, and they're wishing for a different relationship too. And it's hard.
I've had to come to accept that we're probably going to see Gus, if we're lucky, 4 times a year.
Yeah.
It's, and Dave asked if we'd want to move out there. So expensive.
Yeah, it's hard.
I said, well, if you'd like to add on to a house, maybe. And he said, okay, well,
right,
too close.
If I could just move in, there's a boundary.
Right,
you got to talk about.
And I agree with that.
Boundary,
too close.
Well, Kathy, this was great. Thank you so much for talking boundaries. I think everybody has some situation where they've had that moment, or that one day, or that.
They have.
Yes, it's part of the dynamic in the relationship. So thank you.
You're welcome.
These are all great conversations to have ahead of time, but Kathy and I also talked afterwards about how these situations will come up, and you're just going to have to adjust as you go. If you have any advice that you want to share, join us on the Mom Squad with Maureen Kyle Facebook page. This is where we get a chance to talk to each other, share stories and ideas, and if you want us to cover a certain topic, we would love to hear it. Thanks so much for joining us today on Mom Squad. We'll see you right back here next time.